Okay, hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. I hope everybody is succeeding in their various endeavors. I want to use this video to talk about all the questions you guys have been asking on YouTube, and a lot of you talked about the color point tool. You talked about walk cycle, bringing the hand forward and back, so on and so forth. So I'll be using this medium to answer most of those questions and curiosities that you have. I hope you have fun as we do this. So real quick, we'll be going into the color point tool, shortcut key Control K on your keyboard. So for us to use the color point tool properly, we need to be able to understand colors and coloring. If you have never taken any course on coloring, I would advise you go to the internet and get maybe a free course or a paid course on coloring. It will really help, but I will try my best to explain what I can here. Alright, so let's say for example this is our character that we have here. Let me quickly add a vector, and I'll drag this down real quickly, and I'll add a background, and maybe that background should be, let's say, blue. Let's make that background blue, and let's gradient it out how I like to call it. Guys, let's add a gradient to it, and while we add a color to the background, this is what we have as the gradient in the background. But I would like to play around with this a bit to give it more cool feel. So let's make it something like this. Or let me turn it the other way around. Let's say like this. Alright, so we have like our main light source coming from this angle, and this whole part is a bit dark, right? So I will remove that, and I will drag this in a bit here, and I'll drag this in a bit here. Okay, so if we render that out quickly, so you could see that the character is just standing and is not affected by the lights or the shades here in any way in his character. Okay, so we want to make him have this cool feel of light falling on him, so the character will have much more presence and look much more in the scene. So, and you can do this for any scene you want. You just have to take your time to color your scene. Alright, so the first thing I'll do here is I'll go into my character. We'll start with the hair. The funny thing about using the color pick tool, the color point tool, sorry, it's you have to do it one. You can't just apply it. You only apply it to the vector, not the layer itself. Okay, so I hit Ctrl K on my keyboard, and you see my color pick tool, but I can only pick points here. So if I want to select a number of points, all I have to do is hold Ctrl K, and I can select all these points here. Or I would come to my select point tool and select all the points I want the light to fall on. Let's say I want the light to fall on all these points. Alright, so when I select that, I'll come back to my color point tool, and I just hit this white the color patch here. Once I click it, you could see the white light reflecting on the character, isn't it? So what I'll do here is I'll use my picker tool here. I'll drag it, and I'll drag it to wherever color I want to pick to reflect on the character. Okay, so I think I'll pick from here because I want something faint and light on the character's hair. And here, this is where you reduce and increase your color strength. So if we render this out real quickly, you can see how deep the blue color is on the character. If that's what you want, it's fine, but you can also make it, take your time to reduce the color strength to make it fade in a bit. So you go to your color point tool, and let's make this 0.1, making sure that those points are still highlighted, because if the points are not highlighted, you can't reduce the color strength of what you have there. So we have this, which is a bit cool, but we can still go ahead and reduce it and add a 0 here and hit enter. So we have something much more softer and lighter. So let me zoom that real quickly, so you can see how soft it is. so you have a reflection. So we'll do the same thing with the body also. So from the hair we'll move to the face, the head here, and so since these parts are inside the hair, what we have, the parts we have to select is, let's say from this part, we'll hold Control using our select point tool and select just this part. Then we'll come here, just the same process. This is how you do it. Alright, then we'll use our picker tool, then we'll select the light color we want, or you can still select the same skin color of the character. Then you come into this patch here, then you select the way you want the reflection to be, maybe very whitish or faint white on the face. But if you want the same background color, since that's where the light reflection is coming from, you use your picker tool to select that blue there, then you make it much more lighter on the face, isn't it? So we should have something like this where it's becoming white, but you know it's a blue. Alright, so we'll hit that and we'll reduce the color strength to 0.001 and we'll hit enter. So you could see the faint effect of the light there. So we render that out real quickly. So we have this very beautiful faint light on the cheeks of your character. So taking note of this, you also note the ear also. Alright, so we can add maybe another 0 here to see if it's going to reduce properly. So we have it almost gone somewhere there, but you know, really faint. Okay, you know, so if that's the way you want it, fine. Alright, then we'll go to the ears, and we'll have this, we'll select this point of the ears, then we'll have this here also using our color picker tool. From here, hit that point, pick this, maybe I select this blue here, then I make it much more lighter like this. I hit OK, then I come here and point 001 to reduce the strength of the color affecting the ears. So you could see, you know, so now this reflection, you know, is reflecting on your character. Alright, so if you want that, you can go ahead and you can still go ahead and reduce it further. Okay, so let's add another 0 here, 0.0001, and we hit enter, and you can see we have a very reduced, you know, it's almost like it's not there. So we'll come to the hands also, we'll do the same with the hands. So you will do the same for this side, and you do the same for this other side. So real quickly, I don't want to make this video so long, I just want to give you the idea on how to use your color point tool. So we'll come back to, let's say, this hand here, and since we're just dealing with the light reflection, it's not like it has to be the whole body part. So we'll select this point here. Alright, then we'll go to our color point to hit the reflection and select this dark blue here. So we'll probably drag this down a bit, you know, making it a bit blacker. Now hit OK on that, then I'll pick my color, change the color strength to 0.001. Now hit enter. So we'll have this faded dark blue on the character. Alright, so we have that. Or if you don't like the way the color reflects on the character, you can always come here and select this point tool and select your character, and just drag this point straight down to make it deeper. Alright, and hit OK. So you have a much more characterish shading on the character. So when you hit that, you know, you get something much more smooth at that point. Alright, so you know, that is how you use the color point tool actually. So you just take your time and actually change the color strength, look at it. If it's what you want, that is how it goes. If it's not what you want, you change it, and you just keep on changing the color strength, etc. and etc. So let me just do this part real quickly, and you always do it to suit what you feel should be there. Alright, so if we render this out real quickly, so you can see this is too hard on the character, isn't it? So we have to reduce the strength 0.001. so you just have a very faint color. So you could see that the character is now more in the scene than out of the scene. So here, like this, we could add much more lighter color to fit in. Alright, so that's for the hand. That's for this hand here. We can add a much more lighter color, and the beautiful thing about it is that when you apply these colors, they just stick to the character as if, you know, they are within it. Alright, take your click, make sure you always click on your point, color point tool, then you click on this point here, the color swatch, then you select whichever color you want to be there. You can brighten it up as much as you want, or make it darker depending on the reflection you are going for. Alright, so I want this to be a bit whitish. I'll hit that and 0.001 as my color point tool, then we have this. So you could see now the character feels there's, you know, a bit of reflection on him. You know, the character is looking alive right now. So let me do for the leg finally, so we could this part, so you could see and understand what I am talking about. Then I'll go to my color pick tool and I hit this, and I pick this here and I make it much more whitish. Then let's say 0.01. Alright, so a bit too hard, but you get the point, and I'll add on the 0 there. Alright, so make it much more smoother, thinner and stuff. So you could see this is how you add your color point tool. And when you look at the character now, from the first time we did it and till now, you see now the character has more you know, he's more in the scene than just standing there playing. Alright, so that's that for the color point tool. Okay, and you just get creative with it and use it whichever way you want. So there's also one thing I want you to take note of. You can also animate the colors as you go further, because as your character goes from a darker place to a brighter place, the colors also needs to change. It's not that it should be static. So when you take your color pick tool, your color point tool here, shortcut key hitting Ctrl K on your keyboard, when you come to your first frame here, you click on this part. You know, you have already you know, shaded your character from frame 0, but now that you are starting your animation, you also want to be able to animate your colors as you go further, isn't it? So just come to frame 1 here, hit your swatch tool, and this appears, and just hit OK. So what will happen is that you will see your color point tool appearing here, telling you that you can also animate your color. So as the character goes further, so let's drag the character a bit. There's a simple walk cycle here for the character. So let's say the character, oh my god, Ctrl Z, I'll go to the main male character, then I'll drag this character to this point. So you can see the character has walked more into a scene where he becomes much more into the light, you know. So that means this white we see here becomes much more brighter and bigger than when he was at this point. So we can go ahead and animate that for ourselves just by coming here, going into the points, the parts of the character while he or she walks. Let's say at frame 18, since he's coming to this part, I will zoom in here, go to my add point tool, since the points are still selected, and create get my color picker out rather, then I'll shift this to a much more brighter color, so you can see how bright this now becomes. Then maybe reduce the strength to just 0.1, so it becomes much more bigger. So you can see from here is becoming much more brighter and brighter. So if we look at it here, you can see it's becoming much more brighter than when it was here. Control R. So here it's much more faded out. So at this point 18, it becomes much more brighter. So you could see that we're already animating the color of the character, so that as the character gets to a brighter place, the whole part becomes much more brighter and interesting to look at. So maybe frame 18 was too fast. Let's take it to frame 30 so that it takes time to grow into that bright frame. Alright, so then I will now change. You do the same thing to the other parts like the hand, the face. Alright, the face, we still have the parts selected, so I'll use my color point tool. I'll come in here and probably just brighten it more. I'll hit OK, then add more color strength, 0.001. So when I hit render out there, you could see much more whitish stuff going on the face there. Then also for the hand, this other hand here, the same thing. The beautiful thing is that the points are still selected, so you shouldn't deselect the points too quickly. So I'll go to my color point tool also and hit that and probably make it much more whitish, and I'll hit that also. You could see where the keyframe has come in. Then we'll probably reduce the color strength to make it much more wider. Same thing for the leg also. Right here we would reduce the color strength to make it much more wider and add more probably just leave the color as it is, much more whiter. And then for the behind the legs also, they need to become much more brighter. Alright, so since he's moving to this part, what I think is that these edges should not become too dark. Then this part of the leg also, since he keeps moving forward, should become much brighter, but not as bright as this part. So we can quickly just do that. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. At this point I would lighten up these colors here. Okay, then I will reselect using my select tool, reselect this point in front here. Alright, maybe I select the foot also, some part of the point of the foot, and I'll use my color point tool. I'll select that, and I'll take my picker tool, then I'll select this shade here. Okay, then I'll hit OK, and I'll reduce my color strength 0.001. Then I'll hit that, maybe add another 0 in between, and I'll hit that. So if I render this out real quickly, so you can see the feel just keeps changing from one point to another. The same thing you will do for the hand and the torso also. So if we look at it from this point, Control R, okay, my bad. So from here you could see how it's being animated and how the colors are changing. So the reason for this front leg is because we had not added a keyframe for this front part initially. That is why we're having this large blast of color on that leg. So right here we can come back here, and using our color pick tool, you could see it's very large. So we'll just pick the colors here, which is this light blue, and we'll turn it to 0. Okay, we don't want anything at that beginning, so we'll add that as an animation. So as it goes forward, that is when the brightness starts coming in. So when we look at that, you could see how smooth and bright here it is, and how not so smooth and bright here it is. So you could see how the colors are reflecting on the leg, and that's the same thing you could do for the hands and stuff. And this is really great, but you just have to take your time to adjust the colors properly, so you don't have deep colors just spilling out everywhere on the character, and by the time you are through, it will almost look like your character is 3D and not really 2D. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. So that is how you use your color picker tool. Look, I never really had love before. I just want to make you